So we'll pick up the video here. I'm back on the property, probably 50 feet from the road. This is about where the driveway will likely go. So that's looking toward Katy Lane. Looking at the property. There's just a little bit of pasture on the south end. Not very much. And we'll actually just kind of go over this fence, which will be moved. So you can drive right through here. Look at the aerial if you really want to see how this sits, but you can see there's some good mature timber right here. And like I say, this fence will be moved. Let's see if I can make it through here. It's like being back on the farm. Okay, there we go. So I'll just walk to the north and we can get a good look at how this is situated. I was actually kind of excited to get out here and take this video. This is the very first video I've done with snow on the ground. And I was just kind of excited to get out here and spend a little time in nature and hike through the snow. It's just a dusting of snow. But I moved down here from Minnesota about 10 or 15 years ago, I guess now. And we don't get much snow in Missouri. So it's kind of interesting to see a little bit here. It's going to be I think in the mid 40s or 50s later today and tomorrow. So this snow will all be gone. But in the meantime, it's kind of something different to see. So I don't have an aerial map with me, I don't believe, but this section is about 75 feet wide. So you'll be able to pull on in any type of car or truck, I'm sure, when the driveway's done. And then it's kind of up to you if you want to go to the north and do your building site where the property gets wider. We've got some nice timber all over this property. This property has this long driveway, but it is part of the property. It's not an easement road. It is included with the property. And then as you get to the north side of the property, it gets wider and it stretches out to the west. And we'll get up to that point in a minute. I believe there's a little more pasture area on the northeast part of this property. It's not a bad idea to look at a property in the middle of the winter because you really can see what it's all about. And you can tell that this section of the property hasn't been logged. When we get to the larger section, I believe that a portion of that was logged. Now in the spring and summer, when the leaves all come out, this will just be a sea of greenery. And now we're toward the north end of the property. And I believe this is where you'll find a little pasture on the northeast side. You can look at the aerial map to really see how that's situated. Little pasture area. There's a pond that is not on the property. That's on the farmer's property toward the east. Here's the view out toward the east, the southeast. Beautiful, beautiful view. Oh, this is gorgeous, even with the lack of leaves on the trees. Really pretty. I'm trying to snap a couple photos while I do the video here. I'm going to look back to the south, even though I'm looking directly into that sunlight. And then looking toward the west. Let's go ahead and walk toward the west. Now this is where the property widens out a little bit. And this one is a really interesting shape. On this north part, it's basically rectangular, sort of a long, thin rectangle. And we've sold properties of this shape before. In fact, we sold one up in Minnesota a few years ago, and the guy who bought it had specifically been looking for a property that was a long, thin rectangle, and he put a trail down the center, and he used that trail for a shooting lane. So that property was smaller. It was only about 10 acres in Minnesota, but the guy had like a half-mile shooting lane on his 10 acres, which was pretty unique. And on this property, you'd have the opportunity to put in a trail or a series of trails, and you could literally have, you know, a couple miles of property, a couple miles of trails on the property, which is pretty cool for a property this size. This is not a small property, but generally you need a couple hundred acres to have the kind of ground that you can have a couple miles of trail. I can see fresh deer prints going right through there. I can see some of the signs of the logging over here. It was obviously not clear cut, but it was logged, I believe, a couple years ago. And we could walk to the west for quite a distance and still be on the property. You're going to have your choice of building sites. I mean, dozens of building sites. You could build up toward Katy Lane if you wanted that super quick access. Obviously, with that mobile home there on Katy Lane, you're going to have power and phone right there, which is super handy. Or if you wanted to, get back here on the north part, and you've got maximum privacy. I'm just going to walk for a little bit and keep this camera running. Since I'm back here anyway, let's have a good look at it. Still have some good timber back here, definitely. Amazing area for wildlife. This could potentially be a gorgeous building site right here. You're going to find flat areas, you're going to find hilly areas. This property is a mixture of everything. There's some Interesting rocks, big rocks. This is already further than I have walked on this property. But if we kept walking west, I have to assume it's pretty similar. You'll find some signs of logging and some trees that weren't touched at all and everything in between. Nice property with a lot of potential. Private driveway, actual frontage on Katy Lane, the opportunity to build up by the road or way back here where it's super private. Personally, if it were a cabin that you were only using, a few times a year, it sure would be cool to have it back here and be 100% secluded. If it was to be a year-round residence, probably closer to the road. But everybody's a little different in their opinion on that. I see I've gone over 10 minutes already. But that is the private property on Katy Lane in Laclede County, Missouri. Like I said, the guys have not done the driveway yet. It is scheduled to be done, but right now it's not. So if you come out here, you'll have to walk like I did. But hopefully it'll be done very, very quickly. It's on the schedule, and when the equipment cooperates with us, things move pretty quickly. Big deer. I didn't mention, but I should have, that we're between the towns of Camdenton and Lebanon. Lebanon to the south, Camdenton to the north, both mid-sized towns, lots of employment, lots of shopping. Camdenton is at the Lake of the Ozarks, and Lebanon is right on I-44. So although Eldridge does have, the little town of Eldridge does have a little gas station convenience store, that's about all that I could see it had. Maybe a couple businesses, I'm not too sure, but Lebanon and Camdenton, both much bigger regional type towns with dining, shopping, employment, and entertainment. Really nice property. I'd be excited to come back here in the spring and the summer and really see how this looks with the greenery on these trees, because we do have some really beautiful mature trees here.